What's up, all you gaming geeks and weirdos out there? Thank you for joining me for another video discussion. We're going to talk about Sony today and just wondering what it is that they're doing. It's going to be a general discussion, just some random thoughts. So just kind of ignore any weird random stutters or trains of thoughts that happen to get lost. But you're also welcome to put your comments down below if you have anything to say on this topic. But I'm just kind of wondering what's going on with Sony. We have a PS5 Pro being announced, and that just seems kind of weird. I know it's the par for the course now because, hey, we got like, what, 3 or 4 iterations of a PS3, and then we got 3 iterations of a PS4, now a PS5 7, we might as well have a PS5 Pro, right? But Sony is still making PS4 games. The games are still coming off of PS4. And the PS5, when it first came out, I have the box, the original PS5, I can show you. It says 8K on it. Games don't run in 8K. Games don't even run in 4K, and not fully the way that you would expect them to by now, being in 4K and 120 frames a second minimum. But that's okay because, hey, I'm still having a good time playing games like Astro Bot, right? So that makes me then wonder, why would Sony say something along the lines of not having any IP under their belt? That doesn't make any sense. They did say from the ground up, so they probably more or less mean that, we don't have any new IPs, and we don't have anything that we can build from the ground up. We have established IPs, and that's fine. Because you know what has made Nintendo money for like the last 40 years is established IPs. I mean, just Mario alone gets like 5 or 6 games, it seems, a console generation. Like every year we get a Mario game. Sega lives off of Sonic, even though Sega has a lot of IPs also that they don't really take advantage of. But that's a video for another time. But if you need some ideas, as far as, videos to, not really videos, but if you need some ideas as far as IPs that you can make games for, there's a bunch that are already listed online, right? People have talked about Infamous, because Infamous is one of those kind of series that we've already seen 3 protagonists in 4 different games, right? Infamous and Infamous 2 had the same one. Infamous First Light had a different one. Infamous Second Son had a different one. So it's very much possible that you can continue in the same vein and have a whole new protagonist with whole new powers. Maybe you do, and it might be hard because, again, you're gonna do earth powers again. You're gonna do electrical powers again. But I'm sure you can think of something. Probably have water stuff in there. That is a great way to basically be good and put out fires, but also be bad because you flood people and all that. You can, I don't know if you have the rights to it, but you could always make another Sly Cooper. We know you can make another Jak and Daxter, and that's a series that can be like a Mario, or it can be like any other kind of platformer. And just be like a collectathon, but also have a really cool and kind of dark story to it, some interesting ideas. You've had 2 Astrobots, and that's great because I love me some Astrobots. If you didn't kill the Little Big Planet IP, you could keep doing Little Big Planet, and that could be your Mario Maker. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do, Sony. There's all kinds of IPs. Uncharted might be kind of hard to do, but, it can be a lineage thing, just like Nathan Drake had his lineage and the stuff that he talked about in the games. You could have his son or his daughter continue the legacy. It's very possible that you could continue that. You might be able to do more in the same vein of Until Dawn, because you had that prequel game, The Inpatient, on PlayStation VR. You have Until Dawn. You're coming out with a remake of Until Dawn. Maybe you can come out with an Until Dawn 2, or something in the same world, or somebody else becomes a Wendigo in another city, and it just becomes like this big legacy. It could even be like a Silent Hill thing, and it doesn't even really have to be related to anybody. Like every single game has a different protagonist and a different story, but it's about a common theme. You could easily do that. Just like Nintendo has a bunch of IPs, just like Microsoft has more IPs than they probably even care to admit that they're not using. Every single company has IPs under their belts, and I feel as though you could use some of them. So if you're really struggling that bad to figure out games, because I understand you maybe don't want to come out with 3 or 4 Horizon games on one console. You might not want to come out, with a bunch of God of War games like you did on for a while there. You had like God of War and God of War 2 and God of War 3 that seemed like they came out back to back. So I understand you might not necessarily want to keep milking the same IPs, but there's nothing wrong with it. Because just like you could probably work with THQ Nordic to get the rights to Darksiders and you can continue that series, or you could work with some company that maybe doesn't even have anything that they're doing anymore, like you can get the Castlevania IP and you could have something come out from that. It's very possible for you to. It just really depends upon what you want to do. But at the end of the day, I'm just one guy rambling on the internet about a bunch of nonsense. What do you guys think about this topic? Do you think it's time for a PS5 Pro? Because for me, it doesn't even feel like we're really getting down to the middle of the PS5 just yet. But whatever, that's just the way the industry works. And what do you think about Sony talking about they don't really have any IPs to make games for? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what world you live in, because I just finished Astrobot. You showed like 100-something characters. Granted, some of them were like Joker and Fall Guys that you don't really have the rights to say it's a Sony exclusive, and that's cool. They did it appear on your consoles. But you do have some IPs that are yours outside of just like 3 or 4. And I think if you dig down deep, you can find some. But that's just my 2 cents. Thank you for joining me for today's video discussion, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.